My name is Claire Whitfield. I'm 32 years old, and for the last 4 years, I've sent my parents $2,150 every single month. That comes out to $96,150. I counted it myself. On my wedding day, the one day in 32 years, I actually asked them to show up. Not a single one of them came. I called my mother from the parking lot, still in my wedding dress. She picked up on the fourth ring, and the 3 words she said ended everything between us. But what happened 30 minutes later, when my father checked his bank account and understood exactly what I'd done, that's when he really lost his mind. Before I get into it, if this story hits close to home for you, go ahead and like it, subscribe, whatever feels right, but only if it actually resonates. And drop your location and your local time in the comments. I genuinely like knowing where people are listening from. Now let me take you back to the summer of 2021, the summer my father came home from work for the very last time. I grew up in Fairview, Vermont, a suburb just south of Burlington, the kind of place where every lawn was perfectly trimmed and nobody discussed money unless it belonged to somebody else. There were 2 of us kids, me and my younger sister Danielle, 4 years apart, raised under the same roof by the same parents, but somehow under 2 completely different rule books. I was the straight A kid, the one with the scholarship, the one who went on to medical school. I never asked my parents for a single dollar after I turned 18, not for tuition, not for rent, not for groceries. I worked 3 jobs, all through undergrad, tutoring, the campus bookstore, weekend shifts at a nursing home. Nobody had to tell me to do that. I just understood, somehow, that this was simply expected of me. Danielle was different. She dropped out of community college twice. Eventually, she found herself through a 200-hour yoga teacher training program that our parents happily paid $8,150 for. At 24, she married Craig Tate, a car salesman with great hair and a leased Audi. Their wedding was this small, pretty affair at a seafood restaurant in Burlington, and our parents covered the dress, the flowers, and chipped in for the honeymoon. When I finally asked why I'd never gotten anything close to that kind of support, my mother, Linda, looked at me like I'd asked her to explain gravity. "Danielle is sensitive," she said. "She needs us more." My father, Robert, nodded along from his recliner. He always nodded when Linda spoke. 30 years of marriage, and I never once saw that man disagree with her in front of us. I didn't resent Danielle for it. Not back then. I just figured that's how families worked. The strong one carries the weak one. What I didn't understand yet was that I was being trained. June 24th, 2021. My father, Robert, lost his job at Burlington Precision Manufacturing. He'd worked there 30 years as a floor supervisor. The company downsized and cut his whole department. He was 57, no college degree, and a retirement account that would maybe stretch 14 months. I was 28. In my first year of an emergency medicine residency at Burlington General Hospital, making $62,150 a year before taxes. Take home, after deductions and insurance and loan payments, was something like $3,050 a month. My mother called on a Tuesday. She was crying. "We can't make the mortgage, Claire. Your father is devastated. He won't even get out of bed." I sat in the hospital break room at 2 in the morning and did the math on a napkin. $2,150 a month. That left me $1,050 for rent, food, gas, everything else. Tight, but doable. I set up an automatic transfer that same night, midnight, straight from my checking account into the Whitfield joint savings account. My phone buzzed almost immediately. $2,150 transferred to Whitfield joint savings account, ending in 5,288. I ate a granola bar and went right back out to the ER. That weekend, I opened a spreadsheet on my laptop, one green row. Month 1, $2, $150. Running total at the bottom, $2,150. I told myself it was temporary. Dad would find something eventually. 6 months, maybe a year, and the transfers would stop, and I'd finally start catching up on my student loans. $288.50 for medical school, accruing at 6.8% interest while I ate cafeteria food at midnight. Temporary. That word lived rent-free in my head for 4 straight years. 4 years and $96,150. The months kept rolling by. The transfers kept going out. I was pulling 80-hour weeks in the emergency room, living in a 400-square-foot studio with a mattress on the floor and a microwave I bought secondhand at Thrift Barn. Most of my meals came out of the hospital cafeteria. $4 salads, day-old sandwiches, whatever was left on the warming trays once the night shift started. My parents were not eating like that. I went home to Fairview for Christmas in 2021. The house had brand new hardwood floors in the living room, new kitchen appliances, a French door refrigerator, a convection oven. The bathroom had been completely retiled. My mother gave me the full tour like she was hosting a home renovation show. We found a contractor through the neighborhood Facebook group. Such a good deal. I asked how much it cost. She just waved her hand. Your father handled it. My father. The man who hadn't worked in 6 months, who'd turned down a warehouse job because it was, in his own words, beneath a man with 30 years of supervisory experience, who'd declined a position at BuildMart because he refused to wear an apron. Nobody asked me a single thing about residency. Nobody asked about my apartment. Nobody asked whether I was eating or sleeping or even surviving. Nobody said thank you. Christmas dinner. Danielle pulled up in a brand new Honda CR-V, sage green, dealer plates still on it. My mother lit up. Doesn't she look gorgeous in that car? I looked at the car, then looked at my mother. Who paid for it? Nobody answered me. Linda just pivoted straight into Danielle's spring vacation plans with Craig. I drove home that night in my 2013 Corolla with 214,150 miles on it. The second year was worse, not because of the work I could handle. The ER was chaos, sure, but it was predictable chaos. Heart attacks at dawn, broken bones by noon, overdoses by midnight. I knew exactly what to do with a body in crisis. That's what I'd been trained for. What I hadn't been trained for was watching my own family celebrate somebody else using my money while pretending I didn't exist. Spring 2020. 2. Danielle had a pregnancy scare. Turned out to be nothing. My mother still drove 2 hours to sit with her, brought soup, flowers, even picked up a stuffed bear from a gift shop on the way. That very same week, I ended up hospitalized for dehydration. After a 14-hour shift, I called my mother from the chair while the IV was still running. She answered mid-bite of something. "Oh, honey, drink some water. I can't come up. Danielle needs me this week." Danielle, whose scare had already resolved, whose test results had come back negative 3 days earlier. That September, Danielle had her actual wedding, a small ceremony at a waterfront restaurant. My parents paid for her dress, the flowers, and put money toward a honeymoon in Cabo San Lucas. I didn't ask how much. The answer was already sitting somewhere in my spreadsheet, green row after green row, running total climbing past $36,150. I went. I gave a toast. I smiled through every photo. Afterward, I sat in my car in the parking lot with the engine off. 18 months of transfers, $36,150, and my mother had just turned to the photographer and said, "Let's get the family photo, just the four of us." I was standing 6 feet away. The four of them smiled. The flash went off. I wasn't in the frame. Spring 2023, year 2 of the transfers. One evening, I sat down and looked at my student loan balance, $274,150. The interest was piling up faster than I could even touch it with minimum payments. At that rate, I'd be in debt until I was 42. I decided it was time to have the conversation. Drop the transfer from $2,150 down to something smaller. Still generous. Still more than most adult children ever give their parents. Still 30% of my net income. I called my mother on a Saturday morning. "Mom, I need to talk about the monthly transfers, my student loans." She cut me off before I even got the sentence out. "After everything we sacrificed for you." There it was, her favorite weapon, always kept loaded. "We fed you, we clothed you, we drove you to every science fair and every college visit. And now you want to put a price on gratitude?" I backed down, kept it at $2,150. At work that week, my attending, Dr. Anna Reyes, cornered me in the break room. Anna was 38, blunt, the only person at that hospital who noticed when I kept volunteering for extra shifts. "You look like you haven't slept in a year. That's not dedication. That's something else." I told her I was fine. She didn't believe me. She also didn't push. Anna was smart like that. 3 days after that guilt trip phone call, I opened Instagram, and there was my mother, posting from a weekend trip to Martha's Vineyard. Lobster dinner, ocean view, caption underneath, "Blessed life, grateful heart, blessed, funded in part by my $2,150. I closed the app and went back to work. Sam Holbrook walked into the hospital in July 2023 carrying a toolbox, wearing steel-toed boots. His contracting company had just won the bid to rewire the third-floor electrical system. 4-person crew, 6-week job. He was a licensed master electrician, 33, from Manchester, driving a 2016 Ford F-150 with a dent in the tailgate and a bumper sticker that read Local 567. We met in the cafeteria. He'd packed his own lunch, roast beef sandwich, an apple, a thermos of coffee, and sat across from me while I picked at the same wilted Caesar salad I'd been eating for 2 years. "You work here?" he asked. "Resident, emergency medicine. And you eat that every day?" "Most days." He slid half his sandwich across the table. "My mom made extra. That's how it started. Coffee in the parking lot after my shifts." Texts squeezed in between his rewiring jobs and my trauma cases. He was steady in a way I'd honestly forgotten people could be. No performance, no agenda, just a man who showed up and said exactly what he meant. It took me 3 months before I told him about the $2,150. We were sitting in his truck in the hospital parking lot in October, heater running. I got it out fast, like ripping off a bandage. "I send my parents $2,150 a month. They depend on it. My dad lost his job 2 years ago, and they can't make ends meet." Sam sat with that for a long moment. Then he did the math the same way I once had. On his fingers, in his head, the way people do when a number is too big to just accept casually. "Claire, that's 30% of your salary." Then, quietly, "They need it, do they?" Nobody had ever put it to me like that before, and I felt something shift under everything I'd built my silence on top of. Thanksgiving 2023, I brought Sam home to Fairview for the first time. My mother opened the door and looked him up and down the way a jeweler examines a stone she already suspects is fake. "So, Sam, what exactly is it you do?" "I'm a licensed electrician. I own a small contracting company in the Burlington area." Linda smiled, the kind with teeth in it, but no warmth. "An electrician. Well, that's good, honest work." My father, Robert, shook his hand without even getting up off the couch. "Does the business do well?" "We stay busy." Danielle, 7 months pregnant by then, leaned against the kitchen counter. "Does he have benefits? Health insurance?" This from a woman who had never in her life held a job that came with employer-provided insurance. Sam handled the whole thing with more patience than I could have managed. He talked about his crew, his certifications, his plans to expand into solar installation. He answered every single question without flinching, without performing, without trying to win over people who'd already decided not to be won over. After dinner, I went to the kitchen for water. The hallway was dark, and my parents didn't know I was standing there. I heard Linda's voice. "An electrician. Our daughter, the doctor, marrying an electrician. At least Danielle married a sales manager." And then my father, the man whose mortgage I was paying every single month, said something I will never, ever forget. "As long as the checks keep coming, who cares who she marries?" I stood in that hallway a long time, hand on the glass, feet on the hardwood floor I had personally paid for. As long as the checks keep coming, like I was a subscription service, like love came with a billing cycle. February 2024, Sam proposed on the hospital rooftop right after my Saturday overnight shift. No ring box. He had the ring loose in his jacket pocket because, he told me later, he didn't want me spotting a box and figuring it out before he could actually ask. The sun was coming up over Burlington. I was still in scrubs, hands still smelling like hand sanitizer. I said yes before he'd even finished the question. I called my parents that afternoon. Linda picked up. "Mom, I'm engaged. Sam proposed this morning." Silence. Then, "Oh, well, I hope you've thought this through." No congratulations, no excitement, no "tell me everything." Just the sound of someone quietly deciding how much disapproval she could get away with showing. An hour later, Robert called back. Alone. I could tell because his voice dropped into that lower register he only used when Linda wasn't in the room. "Claire, I need to talk to you about something. This wedding, it better not affect our arrangement. You know what I mean. Dad, I'm getting married. I'm planning a wedding. Things might need to adjust." Adjust. His voice went flatter, not angry yet, something that comes right before angry, the sound of a man calculating exactly how much he stood to lose. "We depend on you, Claire. You owe us this. Don't pull the rug out." There it was, weapon number 2. "After everything we sacrificed, you owe us this." 2 sentences, 2 chains, one built out of guilt, one out of obligation. I hung up and sat on the couch with Sam. I told him everything Robert had said, word for word. Sam just looked at me. "Claire, you do not owe them your life." I knew he was right. I also knew that knowing something and actually acting on it are 2 completely different animals. Right there, sitting in my apartment, engaged to the man I loved, my own father had just told me I owed him my paycheck. If you've ever been in that position, where your own family treats your generosity like a bill they're owed, then you understand exactly why my hands were shaking. Stay with me, because what I found out next changed everything. March through May of 2024, Sam and I planned a modest wedding. We found a barn venue out in Kennebunkport, white clapboard, string lights, a view of the river through 100-year-old windows, capacity for 85 guests. October 22nd, a Saturday. Total budget, $28,150, coming entirely from Sam's savings and my tax refund. No family money, no parental contribution. Every single dollar earned and accounted for. I invited my mother to come help me pick out a dress. She had exactly one answer for me all spring. I'm busy. Danielle's nursery needs painting. Danielle's nursery. Danielle's registry. Danielle's prenatal appointments. My sister had become my mother's full-time occupation, one that conveniently left 0 hours available for my wedding. I sent out save-the-date cards to everyone. My parents got theirs in mid-April. 2 weeks of nothing. Then a text from Linda. October is difficult. Danielle is due in November. I need to be available. October, 5 months before November. But somehow October was difficult. That same evening, my phone buzzed with the automatic transfer notification. $2,150 transferred to Whitfield joint savings account ending in 4,471. Month 36. Running total on my spreadsheet, $72,150. I stared at that notification the way you stare at a receipt for something you no longer want but can't return. $72,150. My mother couldn't find one single weekend in 5 months for my wedding, but she had endless time for Danielle's nursery, Danielle's doctor visits, Danielle's everything. I set the phone down and picked the guest list back up, 85 names. I sat at the kitchen table, addressing envelopes while Sam heated up leftover pasta. This was my wedding, mine and Sam's. And whoever actually wanted to be there would be there. July 2024, Danielle's baby shower. My mother organized it like a military campaign. Rented venue at a hotel in South Burlington, catered for 40 guests. A pink balloon arch, a 3-tier cake with baby girl Tate written across it in fondant script. I drove 2 hours to attend and brought a gift, a baby blanket I'd crocheted between overnight shifts, seafoam green, 3 weeks of stolen minutes in the break room hooking yarn under fluorescent lights while monitors beeped somewhere behind me. At the shower, my mother stood up in front of the whole room and gave a speech, radiant, steady voice, shining eyes, the performance of a lifetime. Danielle, you are the light of this family. Becoming a mother is the most important thing a woman can do. I sat in the corner. Nobody said one word about my upcoming wedding. Nobody asked about the venue, the dress, the date. I was 31 years old, an emergency medicine physician, and I was completely invisible. Danielle opened her gifts. She got to mine, held the blanket up, turned it over once. Oh, cute. Did you make this? Set it on the pile, reached for the next box. After the party, I helped clean up, stacking chairs, folding tablecloths, gathering paper plates. My mother pulled me aside near the dessert table. Claire, the $2,150. Can you do $2,500 this month? The shower cost more than we expected. Mom, I'm paying for my own wedding. I can't increase it. She tilted her head, gave me that look, the one reserved for when I was failing to meet her expectations, and she wanted me to feel it without her having to spell it out. You always find a way. You're the strong one. The strong one. She only ever called me that when she wanted more money. August 2024, I got a letter from the bank about the joint savings account. the one I'd been feeding $2,150 into every single month. Just routine paperwork, updated signature cards. But it meant I had to log in. And logging in meant actually looking at the numbers. I opened the account on my laptop at 2 in the morning. The balance should have been substantial. 38 months of deposits. Even accounting for mortgage payments coming out, there should have been a real cushion. The balance was $340. I read it twice, then a third time. Then I scrolled through the transaction history. Withdrawals, regular, large, relentless. 1,650 to Danielle Tate, 2,150 to Craig Tate Auto Group, $1,050 to Danielle Tate, $3,400 to Craig Tate Auto Group, $1,150 to Vineyard Resort and Spa, $1,400 to a salon, $760 to a nail studio. The money wasn't keeping my parents afloat. It wasn't even paying most of the mortgage. It was funding Danielle's lifestyle, Craig's failing car dealership, and my mother's vacations. I screenshotted every single transaction. Everyone. Saved them all into a folder on my laptop labeled Transfers. Then I opened my spreadsheet. Green rows, 38 of them, running total $76,150, and added a new column, red. I cross-referenced every withdrawal against Danielle or anything Danielle adjacent. Took me 40 minutes. 43% of everything I'd sent had gone straight to my sister or her husband. 22% had gone to vacations, renovations, personal spending. Only 31% had gone anywhere near the actual mortgage, the whole stated reason for any of this. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking, and it wasn't anger. Not exactly. It was that specific kind of nausea that comes from realizing you've been lied to by the people you trusted with your own survival. I didn't tell Sam right away. I sat with it for 3 days. During those 3 days, I went back through 2 years of text messages with my mother, looking for a pattern, and I found one. Every guilt trip text. I'm so stressed about bills. Your father can't sleep. We just don't know how we'll manage. Landed within 48 hours of a large withdrawal from the joint account. Mom texting, we're barely making it on a Monday. And then $1,650 going out to Danielle Tate on the Wednesday. It wasn't emotional. It was operational. My mother was sending me distress signals to keep the money flowing, then redirecting it to my sister before the ink even dried. I added another column to the spreadsheet, blue, matching guilt trip texts to withdrawal dates. The pattern was mathematical, provable, undeniable. At work that Thursday, I dropped my cafeteria tray, salad on the floor, dressing all over my shoes. I just sat down right there on the linoleum. Dr. Reyes found me, crouched down beside me, white coat touching the floor. Talk to me. I've been paying my parents $2,150 a month for 3 years. They've been giving it to my sister. Anna didn't flinch, didn't gasp, didn't say she was sorry. She just sat down next to me, back against the vending machine. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Yes, you do. You just haven't said it out loud. We sat there a while. The cafeteria hummed around us, trays clanging, conversations drifting past, ordinary sounds for ordinary people on an ordinary Thursday. I wasn't ordinary anymore. I had the numbers, and numbers don't lie, even when mothers do. I showed Sam the bank statements that Saturday morning. We were at his kitchen table, coffee going cold between us. He scrolled through the screenshots, slowly, jaw tightening. He didn't yell, didn't curse, just breathed slow through his nose, the way he did when he was working through something too big for words yet. 43% to Danielle, he said. And they told you it was for the mortgage. Yes. And you're still sending $2,150 a month? I stopped. Tuesday, I canceled the automatic transfer. He looked up. When? After my shift. I sat in the parking lot, opened the banking app, and hit cancel. For the first time in 38 months, my phone did not buzz with a transfer notification on the first of the month. October would come, and $2,150 would just stay in my account. Mine. The silence where that notification used to be felt louder than almost any sound I'd ever heard. Sam reached across the table and put his hand over mine. Are you going to confront them? Not yet. Not before the wedding. I need to get through October 22nd first. He nodded. Then we get through October 22nd. He didn't tell me what to do, didn't try to strategize it out or map consequences. He just aligned himself next to me and said, "We." That was enough. I closed the laptop. The spreadsheet saved itself automatically. Green rows, red column, blue column, running total at the bottom in bold. $76,150, a fortune for a resident, a fraction of what my mother apparently believed I owed her. 2 weeks later, the 1st of October arrived. No transfer, no buzz, no $2,150 leaving my account. The silence was extraordinary. Mom noticed first. October 6th. A text. Claire, the transfer didn't go through. Can you check? I replied. I'll look into it. I did not look into it. 2 days after that, Linda sent an email. Not a text, an email. My mother reserved email for what she considered truly serious matters, the way some people reserve certified mail. Subject line: transfer issue, urgent. Claire, I noticed the October payment is missing. I assume this is a bank error. Please fix it immediately. Your father and I have bills. Also, I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking, and I don't think October 22nd works for us. Danielle's due date is getting closer, and I need to be ready. You understand, right? After everything we sacrificed for you. After everything we sacrificed for you. Third time now. Same sentence, same pressure, same exact spot. She'd called the $2,150 a payment, not a gift, not help. A payment like I owed some debt that would never reach zero. I didn't reply to the email. I screenshotted it and dropped it in the same folder, right alongside the bank statements, the withdrawal records, the guilt trip correlations. Then I set my phone down and picked the stack of wedding invitations back up. 85 envelopes waiting to be addressed. I started with Grandma Vera's. Vera lived in Concord, my mother's mother, 79 years old, sharp as a surgical blade, independent as a cat. She'd always treated me differently than the rest of the family did, quieter, more specific, more genuine. I wrote her address out in blue ink, sealed the envelope, pressed the stamp down hard. Some people you invite because you have to. Some people you invite because they actually show up. October 6th, I sent the invitations out. My parents got theirs 2 days later. Linda called that same evening. Claire, we need to discuss this. The venue is a barn in Kennebunkport. We are not barn people. It's beautiful. You're invited. That's all I'm asking. Danielle had her wedding at a restaurant. A proper restaurant. I let that sit a second. A proper restaurant, paid for with my money. I didn't say it. Not yet. Robert's voice came in from somewhere behind her. Tell her about the money. Linda dropped her voice. Claire, the October transfer, and now a wedding we didn't approve of. What is happening? You're invited to my wedding. That's what's happening. She hung up without another word. No RSVP came back that week, or the next. I called Grandma Vera. She'd already RSVP'd, yes, with a handwritten note tucked inside the card. Wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetheart. Sam's mother, Marilyn, a retired cafeteria worker from Manchester who'd raised Sam alone after his father left when Sam was 6, sent her RSVP back the very same day she got the invitation. She called just to ask if she could bring her apple pie and whether the barn had a kitchen she could use. 85 invitations. Within 2 weeks, 63 RSVPs had come back yes. Hospital colleagues, Sam's crew, med school friends, cousins on my mother's side who liked me a whole lot more than they liked Linda. My parents? Nothing. 14 days before my wedding, and the 2 people who had received $96,150 of my money couldn't manage to check a box on a card and mail it back. I stopped waiting on them. October 11th, 11 days before the wedding, I was scrolling Instagram on a break when I saw it. A cousin had reposted a story, a pink and gold invitation graphic in cursive lettering. Join us for Danielle and Craig's gender reveal. Saturday, October 22nd, 5 p.m., the Tate Residence, Fairview. October 22nd, my wedding day. I pulled up Danielle's original post. She'd uploaded it 3 weeks earlier. My mother had liked it. My mother had left a comment on Danielle's post, "Cannot wait," with a little pink heart next to it. 3 weeks ago, while I was still waiting on their RSVP for my own wedding, I picked up the phone and called Danielle myself. She answered on the second ring, her voice bright, like nothing in the world was wrong. "Your gender reveal is on my wedding day," I said. "Oh, is it? I did not realize when you picked the venue." "Well, it's at our house." October 22nd was the only day that worked for everyone. Everyone, Claire, including Mom and Dad. "Danielle, I'm pregnant. This is about my baby. Not everything is about you." I held the phone away from my face for a second, breathed, put it back. "Mom RSVP'd to your party 3 weeks ago," I said. "She hasn't RSVP'd to my wedding." Danielle was quiet for exactly 2 seconds. Then, "Well, maybe you should have picked a different date." I hung up. I didn't call my parents. I didn't change my wedding date. I opened the spreadsheet on my laptop one more time. Red column. $43,150 to Danielle over 38 months. And now Danielle had scheduled her gender reveal on my wedding day. My sister did not accidentally choose October 22nd. She chose it because she knew our parents would come to hers. She chose it because she could. October 15th. 1 week before the wedding, I drove to Fairview alone. I sat at my parents' kitchen table, the table I'd eaten 1,000 meals at growing up, the table where I'd done homework, argued about curfew, opened birthday cards with $10 bills tucked inside. Linda sat across from me. Robert stood by the counter, arms crossed. "My wedding is in 7 days," I said. "I need to know if you're coming." Linda folded her hands. "Claire, Danielle needs us. She's 8 months pregnant, and her gender reveal is the same day. We can't be in 2 places. You could come to the ceremony. It's at 2. Danielle's party is at 5. We need to help set up. Danielle can't do it alone. Craig has family, friends. She's not alone. She's our daughter." I let that sentence land. "She is our daughter," said to me, also her daughter, as if I were a neighbor asking for a favor. Robert shifted his weight. "And what about the money?" "This is not about the money right now. This is about my wedding." Robert's jaw tightened. "It's always about the money, Claire. You stopped paying. We noticed. I stood up. My chair scraped against the new hardwood. I am asking you one more time. Will you be at my wedding? Linda looked at Robert. Robert looked at the floor. Linda looked back at me with something that wasn't quite apology and wasn't quite defiance, something in between, something practiced. We will try. I had driven 40 minutes to hear those 3 syllables. We will try. And I knew exactly what they meant. They meant no. They meant Danielle. They meant the money mattered more than the ceremony. I did not cry in the car. I was past that. The last week before the wedding moved at 2 speeds, fast at the hospital, slow at home. Sam's mother, Marilyn, arrived from Manchester on Wednesday. She brought an apple pie, 3 casseroles, a garment bag with her church dress, and a hug that lasted 11 seconds. I counted because I had forgotten what it felt like to be held by a mother figure with no conditions attached. My son chose well, she said. I'm proud of you both, Grandma Vera called every evening. I'm bringing my rolls and a surprise. You'll love it. My parents, nothing. No call, no text, no RSVP card, arriving in a last-minute rush of conscience. My college friend Ellen came down from Boston for the dress fitting. She stood behind me at the mirror while I adjusted the straps. Ivory satin, simple cut, no train. Where's your mom? Ellen asked. Busy. Ellen knew me well enough not to push. The night before the wedding, I sat alone in my apartment. Sam was at his mother's hotel, keeping with the tradition of not seeing the bride before the ceremony. The apartment was quiet in a way I wasn't used to. No hospital sounds, no beeping monitors, no overhead pages. I opened the banking app on my phone. The old automatic transfer schedule was still visible in the history. $2,150. Canceled. The words sat there in gray letters, final and clean. I closed the app and looked at my wedding dress hanging on the back of the bedroom door. Tomorrow, I would put that dress on. I would stand in front of people who actually chose to be there, and for the first time in 4 years, I would not be the person funding someone else's comfort while starving my own. October 22nd, 7 in the morning, the barn at Millbrook Falls. I woke in the bridal suite, a small room above the reception hall, with whitewashed walls and a window facing the river. The light was gray and gold, the way autumn mornings look in Vermont before the fog burns off. Sam had texted at midnight, "Tomorrow, you become my family officially." Ellen helped with my hair. Marilyn brought breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice, a cloth napkin she'd ironed at the hotel. She set the plate on the vanity and kissed my forehead. "Eat. You have a big day." I checked my phone. 0 messages from my parents. 0 missed calls. The screen was clean and empty where their names should have been. Grandma Vera arrived at 11. She walked into the bridal suite in a navy dress with pearl buttons, her white hair pinned back with a clip I remembered from childhood. She saw me in my wedding dress and stopped in the doorway. Her chin trembled. "Your mother should be here." "She's not coming, Grandma." "I know, baby, I know." Vera reached into her purse, a leather bag the color of walnut she'd carried for 30 years. She pulled out a small brooch, blue enamel set in tarnished silver, forget-me-nots. This belonged to my mother, something old, something blue, something better than what they deserved to see. I pinned the brooch to the inside of my dress, near my heart, where nobody could see it but I'd feel it all day. First tear of the day. Vera wiped it away with her thumb. "That's the only one you get before the ceremony," she said. "Save the rest for the dancing." 2 in the afternoon, the ceremony began. 78 of 85 guests were present. My side of the aisle, Grandma Vera in the front row, 3 cousins, 8 colleagues from the hospital, Ellen, and a handful of friends from medical school. Sam's side, Marilyn, his crew of 3 electricians in sport coats they clearly did not wear often, and 24 family members from Manchester who had driven 90 minutes without complaining. I walked myself down the aisle. Sam was already crying before I reached him. His crew pretended not to notice. Marilyn held a tissue to her mouth. Vera sat straight-backed and still, the way women of her generation hold themselves when they're trying very hard not to fall apart. We exchanged vows. Sam spoke first. I choose you, not because it's easy, because you're worth choosing. I said mine. I don't remember all the words. I remember meaning every one of them. The officiant pronounced us married. The barn erupted. 78 people clapping, some standing, Marilyn openly weeping, Vera nodding. One of Sam's electricians whistled. 3:30 in the afternoon. Between the ceremony and the reception, guests moved toward the cocktail area. I stepped outside to the parking lot alone. I called my mother. 4 rings. She answered. What? I just got married, Mom. We're at Danielle's. The reveal was beautiful. Pink, it's a girl. I just got married. Pause, then 3 words. Don't bother us. The line went dead. I stood in the October air, holding my phone, the brooch pressed against my chest through the satin. Somewhere inside the barn, my husband was pouring champagne for 78 people who had chosen to be here. My mother chose a balloon pop in Fairview. I stood in that parking lot for 4 minutes. I know because the phone screen showed the time and I watched it change twice. I wasn't crying. Something harder than crying. Something quieter. The kind of stillness that comes when a decision has already been made and your body is just waiting for your hands to catch up. I opened the banking app, joint savings account with my parents, balance $340. I submitted a request to remove myself as co-owner. The confirmation screen said processing would take 24 hours. I went into my personal checking account, changed my direct deposit details, removed the secondary routing to Robert's personal account, $400 a month I'd set up for his gas and groceries, canceled. I scrolled to transaction history, found the old automatic transfer, $2,150 to Whitfield joint savings, canceled since September. Good. Still canceled. Permanently. Total financial severance, completed in 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Standing in a gravel parking lot in Kennebunkport, Vermont, in my wedding dress, with my grandmother's brooch against my heart, I put the phone in my clutch and walked back inside. The barn was warm and loud with music and conversation and the clinking of glasses. Sam saw my face. He crossed the room. What happened? I'll tell you tonight. Right now, I need to dance at my wedding. He took my hand, and we walked to the floor. The band played something slow. I put my head on his shoulder. He held me like I was something worth holding. Somewhere in Fairview, my father's phone buzzed. Bank notification. Alert. Co-owner removed from account ending in 5528. He would see it soon. But not yet. First, I was going to dance. It took Robert 30 minutes. He was at Danielle's gender reveal party when his phone buzzed in his pocket. He'd been holding a paper plate with a slice of pink cake when he looked at the screen. First notification. Co-owner removed from joint savings. Second notification. Secondary transfer canceled. He excused himself from the living room, walked out to the driveway, dialed my number, straight to voicemail. My phone was in my clutch, on silent, on a table inside the barn where 78 people were eating dinner and toasting my marriage. He called 7 times. Each call landed in the same place. Then the texts started. Call me now. Claire, what did you do? This is not funny. You cannot just cut us off. He drove to the nearest ATM, tried to withdraw from the savings account. His card still worked. Balance, $340. He stared at the screen, then drove back to Danielle's house. He walked inside. My mother was refilling the punch bowl. She saw his face. What's wrong? Robert's voice was loud enough for the room to hear. She shut everything down. Your daughter shut everything down. Keep your voice down. We have $340, Linda. $340. Danielle stood near the dessert table, a pink balloon still tied to her wrist. What are you two talking about? Silence. Nobody explained, because explaining would mean admitting where the money had been coming from, admitting that their daughter, the doctor, had been funding their life for 4 years, admitting they'd chosen Danielle's balloon pop over Claire's wedding. They couldn't explain it without condemning themselves. So they stood there in a room full of pink and said nothing. Our wedding night. A bed and breakfast in Kennebunkport, 3 miles from the barn, white sheets, a fireplace, a window overlooking a garden going dormant for winter. I checked my phone after Sam fell asleep. 14 missed calls, 9 voicemails. Robert, voicemail 1. Claire, call me back. There's been a mistake. Robert, voicemail 3. This is not acceptable. We had an agreement. Robert, voicemail 4. You owe us this. You can't just stop. His voice cracking on the word stop. Robert, voicemail 7. Late, slurred, something rattling in the background. You'll come crawling back. You always do. Linda, text at 11 at night. Claire, I don't know what has gotten into you. I hope you're happy ruining your father's health. Linda, text at 11:47. Fine, don't respond, but when you need us, and you will, remember this night. I read them all, every word. I didn't play any of them on speaker. I held the phone close to my face in the dark room while my husband breathed beside me. I screenshotted every message, added them to the folder on my phone, the same folder as the bank statements, the withdrawal records, the guilt trip texts, the email about the transfer issue. Then I typed one text to both of them. I got married yesterday. You were not there. The money stopped. These are related. I hit send, put the phone in the nightstand drawer, closed it. Sam shifted in his sleep. The fireplace crackled. Outside, the ocean made the sound it always makes, steady, indifferent, ongoing. I lay back and listened. For the first time in 4 years, there was nothing I owed anyone. I had just read 14 missed calls and 9 voicemails from parents who couldn't be bothered to attend my wedding, but who noticed the missing money within 30 minutes. If you've ever been loved only for what you provide, you know exactly how this feels. Stay with me, because Thanksgiving is coming, and so are the bank statements. November came in cold and gray, the way it always does in Vermont. I went back to work. Year 4, chief resident. For the first time in 38 months, my paycheck arrived, and the $2,150 stayed exactly where it was. I redirected that money to my student loan. The first extra payment hit the balance like a stone dropped into still water. $2,150 of principal gone. The math felt different now, lighter. At this rate, the debt would be paid off by 37 instead of 42. Danielle had her baby the second week of November, a girl named Grace. I sent a gift through Amazon, a set of organic cotton enzies. I did not visit. Linda left a voicemail. Her voice had the quality of someone rehearsing outrage. Your niece was born, and you can't even visit. What kind of person are you? I saved the voicemail. I did not return the call. Robert, meanwhile, had started selling things on Facebook Marketplace. A cousin sent me a screenshot: the new kitchen appliances, the patio furniture, the convection oven, items my money had paid for, now listed at garage sale prices. Grandma Vera called the Sunday before Thanksgiving. "Are you coming?" "I'm hosting the whole family." "I'll be there, Grandma." "Good, because I have some questions about why your mother has been telling everyone you abandoned the family." I paused. "What exactly has she been saying? That you stopped helping them, that you chose your husband over your parents, that you're selfish and ungrateful." Vera's voice was level, but underneath the level, there was something sharp. The sound of a woman who has been lied to and knows it. "I'll be there, Grandma," I said. "And I'll bring the receipts." I meant it literally. I printed the bank statements. 4 years, 48 pages, December 1st. Grandma Vera's house in Concord, a white farmhouse with green shutters and a front porch that sagged slightly on the left side. Vera had lived there since 1967. The house smelled like roasted turkey, bread rolls, and the lavender sachets she kept in every closet. Sam and I arrived at noon. The manila envelope sat in my bag, 48 pages, 4 years, every transaction highlighted in yellow. Linda was already there. She saw me in the doorway and did not hug me. She turned to Aunt Carol with a performance smile and said, "Oh look, the prodigal daughter decided to show up." Robert sat in Vera's armchair by the window. He would not make eye contact with me. He looked thinner than he had in October, older, the kind of aging that happens when comfort disappears and reality shows up in its place. Danielle was on the couch with baby Grace on her lap. Craig stood behind her, hands in his pockets. They both gave me a nod. Cold, practiced, coordinated. 19 people were in that house. Aunt Carol and Uncle Frank, cousins Tyler, Renee, and Megan, Vera's neighbor Nancy, who'd been coming to Thanksgiving for 20 years, 2 more cousins from Manchester. Some of them had heard Linda's version of events. Claire abandoned us. Claire stopped supporting us. Claire married beneath her and turned her back on family. Tyler pulled me aside in the hallway. "Is it true your mom says you cut them off?" "After dinner," I said. "I'll explain everything after dinner." From the kitchen, Vera was watching. She had been watching Linda perform all morning. The sighs, the whispered asides to Aunt Carol, the dabbing of dry eyes with a tissue. Vera said nothing, but she was counting. Dinner ended, plates were cleared. The table was a landscape of crumbs and water rings, and half-empty glasses of cider. Vera stood at the head of the table. She placed both hands flat on the surface. "Before dessert, I think we need to address what has been going on in this family." Linda was ready. She had been rehearsing this performance for weeks. I could see it in the way she straightened her back and found her voice. "Mom, if this is about Claire, I don't want to make a scene. But yes, my own daughter has abandoned us after everything we sacrificed." "Mom, stop." The room went still. 19 people stopped moving. A fork clinked against a plate somewhere, and then even that stopped. I opened the manila envelope, pulled out the bank statements, set the stack on the table, 48 pages, printed on white paper, highlighted in yellow. "For 3 years and 2 months, I sent you $2,150 every month. That is $76,150 from the joint savings account, plus $12,150 through the secondary transfer to Dad's personal account. $88,150 total." I opened the spreadsheet printout. Green column, payments. Red column, withdrawals. 43% of the money I sent went directly to Danielle or to Craig's car dealership. Another 22% went to vacations, renovations, a Martha's Vineyard spa trip, and personal spending. I pointed to a row highlighted in orange. The mortgage, the reason I started sending money in the first place, accounted for 31%. 19 people at the table. Nobody spoke. Uncle Frank put on his reading glasses and pulled a page toward him. Aunt Carol leaned over his shoulder. Linda's voice came out sharp and thin. Those are private family finances. You have no right. They're my bank statements. My name was on the account. My money. Robert stood up from his chair. You ungrateful. Vera did not raise her voice. Robert, sit down. Robert sat. Vera was 79 years old and 4'11" tall, and Robert sat down without finishing his sentence. I looked at my mother. My voice did not change pitch, did not waver. On October 22nd, my wedding day, I called you Mom. You said 3 words. Don't bother us. You were at Danielle's gender reveal party, the one she scheduled on the same day as my wedding. I am not asking for the money back. I am not suing anyone. I am telling this family the truth, because you have spent the last month telling everyone I abandoned you. I did not abandon you. I stopped paying for the privilege of being ignored. The room was silent, the kind of silence that has weight. Aunt Carol spoke first. Her voice was careful, the way people sound when they're trying very hard to be fair. Linda, is this true? $88,150. My mother's eyes moved around the room, searching for an ally, a soft face, someone who would take her side. She found none. It's complicated. Claire doesn't understand. Vera cut her off. What doesn't she understand? I'm looking at the numbers. They add up. Cousin Tyler had the bank statements now. He was passing pages to Uncle Frank. They circled the table like evidence in a trial nobody had called for. Danielle, pale, holding Grace closer to her chest. I didn't know it was Claire's money. Mom said it was from Dad's retirement. Craig pushed his chair back. He had invested $3,400 of my money into his car dealership. He said he didn't know. His face said something different. Robert tried once more. This is none of your business. She is our daughter. That money is family money. Uncle Frank looked up from the statements. Robert, family money doesn't get laundered through one person's salary. Linda started crying. Performance tears. The same one she used when she wanted sympathy. The same mechanism she'd used on me for 4 years to keep the transfers flowing. You're all turning against me. My own mother, my own family. Vera looked at her daughter. Linda, I asked you 2 weeks ago if Claire was really helping you with money. You said a little. $88,150 is not a little. Linda opened her mouth, closed it. For 5 seconds, I counted, she had nothing. Her chin trembled. Her eyes dropped to the table. For one brief moment, she looked like someone who knew she had gone too far. Then it passed. She hardened. The performance resumed. Claire has always been dramatic. She's doing this for attention. I stood up. I'm done. Sam, let's go. We reached the front door, coats on, keys in hand. Vera followed us into the hallway. She moved slowly but with purpose, the way she did everything. She took my arm. Her hand was small and warm and steady. I didn't know, she said. I swear I didn't know. I know, Grandma. $88,150. She said it quietly, like she was still trying to make the number real. My granddaughter was eating hospital food to send her parents $88,150, and they couldn't come to her wedding. She reached for her left hand, pulled off her wedding ring, a thin gold band worn smooth by 57 years of wear, 1967. Her husband had worked 3 jobs to buy it. She pressed it into my palm, her fingers closing over mine. The people who choose you do not need to be paid. I held the ring. Sam put his hand on my shoulder. Through the closed door, I could hear the aftermath. Linda crying, Robert arguing with Frank, Danielle on the phone, probably calling Craig, who had left the house 5 minutes earlier. Grandma Vera looked at me for a long time. Then, she patted my hand and stepped back. Go home. Eat leftovers. Hold your husband. That's what Thanksgiving is for. I put the ring in my coat pocket. Sam opened the door. November air rushed in. Cold, clean, unforgiving. We walked to the truck. I did not look back. 3 months later, January 2025, Robert found a job. Warehouse work at a distribution center in Heartland. $17.50 an hour, 5 days a week, 6 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. The kind of job he had called beneath him for 4 years. Linda got a part-time position at a floral shop in Fairview, her first job in 14 years. She arranged flowers and worked the register 3 days a week. She did not post about it on social media. The blessed life, grateful heart captions disappeared. Danielle and Craig sold the Honda CR-V, replaced it with a used Corolla, 6 years old, 90,000 miles. Craig's dealership investment collapsed the same month. Turns out $3,400 was not enough to prop up a failing franchise. The investor group pulled out. Craig went back to selling cars for someone else. Extended family. 11 of the 19 people at Thanksgiving reached out to me. Texts, calls, a few handwritten cards. Most said some version of the same thing. We didn't know. We should have asked. Aunt Carol sent flowers to the hospital with a note. Your mother told us you were ungrateful. She was wrong. Cousin Tyler set up a group text with me, Megan and Renee. He named it Family That Actually Talks. We texted every few days. Recipes, news articles, photos of nothing important. The small currency of people who stay in touch because they want to. Grandma Vera called every Sunday afternoon. She had started telling me stories about her own mother, a woman who raised 5 children in a farmhouse outside Concord. Another woman who gave too much to people who didn't deserve it, Vera said. I didn't realize I was watching the pattern repeat. When people ask me if I have forgiven my parents, I say the same thing every time. When they're ready to have a conversation, a real conversation, not a performance, I will listen. The door is not locked, it is closed, and the difference matters. Linda has not called since Thanksgiving, not once. Vera says she is still telling a version of the story where she is the victim, and I am the ungrateful daughter who turned her back on family. But the audience has thinned. Fewer people believe it now. Robert called once, early December. His voice was different, smaller, stripped of the authority he used to borrow from Linda. He said 4 words. I got a job. I said 1 word. Good. That was the whole conversation. 11 seconds. The shortest call we have ever had. But something in it was different. Not an apology, not a request, just a fact delivered to the one person who would understand what it meant. Danielle sent a photo of baby Grace in late January, a text with no caption, just the image. Round cheeks, dark hair wrapped in a blanket I did not recognize, not the one I had crocheted. Underneath, a second text, she has your eyes. I saved the photo. I did not respond. My spreadsheet is closed now. Green rows, red column, blue column, final total at the bottom, $88,150. I filed it in a folder on my laptop and haven't opened it since November. What I open now is my student loan balance, down $6,150 since October. At this rate, $2,150 extra per month, I will be debt-free by 37 instead of 42. Sam and I eat dinner at our kitchen table most nights. Real food, meals we cook together. No cafeteria tray, no midnight granola bars. Vera's gold ring sits in a small wooden box on my nightstand. I do not wear it, but I see it every morning when I reach for my phone. I spent 4 years trying to buy my way into my own family. $88,150. And the answer was always the same. Not enough. The people who love you do not keep a running tab. And the people who keep a running tab were never loving you. They were billing you. My phone does not ding on the first of the month anymore. The silence is the most expensive thing I have ever earned. That is my story. $88,150, 3 words on a wedding day, and a grandmother's gold ring that taught me what family actually costs. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video. Thank you for being here. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.